simonwoods.com. No, I'm not in my usual place today. I'm in the kitchen. For some reason, when I was doing the Spicy Whites video, the first bit of it got chopped off. No idea where it is. It's somewhere in electronic ether. So I'm going to have to describe the Hugel Muscat 2008. Fortunately, I wrote loads of notes just off the top of my head, but what I remember about it, it was this lovely, delicate, grapey style. It was almost like, some wines don't taste of grapes. Most of them don't, actually, but this one was one of those that really did smell of it. But you think it's going to be a sweet wine, but then it has this lovely, dry, floral, crisp spiciness to it. Remember it being really delicious. I also remember it, I had 6 wines, and at the end of the day, this was the one that was emptied first. I think it was the only one that was emptied. Anyway, we'll move on, because hopefully the next 5 should all fit in very nicely after this. So, catching up and going... Really lovely, fresh wine, that. Okay, let's see whether the next one's lovely and fresh. We are, well, the next 3 actually, we are on Pinot Gris, also known as Pinot Grigio, but I think when it's the same grape variety, it's just different names for it, like Syrah and Shiraz. And when people put Pinot Grigio on it, I think they're taking their role model as being the slightly crisp, light, sometimes, often quite anonymous wines of northern Italy. And when they put Pinot Gris on, Alsace is their model. So I've got an Alsace wine. I've got 2 New Zealand ones to start with. First one is Gladstone. Now Gladstone's are both a winery, Gladstone Vineyard, and a region in what they call the Wairarapa, bottom end of the North Island in New Zealand, and it's about 20 minutes away from Martinborough, which is also part of Wairarapa. Let's give this one a whirl. And this is a bigger, fuller, fleshier smell. It smells like this has got some of that spicy note in it, yes, a bit of marmalade, bit of lemon jelly. Smells okay. Sometimes New World Pinot Gris can almost be just a bit too fat and flabby for its own good, but it smells like this one's going to have a bit of freshness to it. It's got weight. It's got this nice creaminess. Bit of toffee. The fruit flavours are really quite solid things like peaches and almost like cooked peaches, like even tinned peaches in there. And the spiciness is almost like ginger. Yeah, there's this sappy, creamy, but there's also a clay-like character to it as well. Quite a big, solid beast. Tasty. I prefer just something that'll be a little fresher. It really is a very muscly wine. And I'd like just a little bit more precision to it. It's big and honest and fruity, but is it just a bit too big, honest and fruity? Hey, I'm sure some people will love it. I'm okay on it. Next one, still in New Zealand, but going on to further up the coast to Hawke's Bay in the North Island. And this is Crossroads 2008, so a year older. And this one smells like it's going to be a bit more crisp. There's a slightly floral edge to it as well. Pinot Grigio, its name means grey Pinot. And there's Pinot Blanc, white Pinot. There's Pinot Noir, black Pinot. And Pinot Grigio is halfway in between. And so sometimes you get the wines and they've almost got a little bit of pink in the skins. Now look at this, and it has got a very slight pink hue to it. It's funny, it smells crisper, but it is quite full-bodied. Yeah, it's not quite as rounded and fleshy as the Gladstone was, but I think I prefer it for that. It's not trying to assault you too hard, but it does have like this really nice flavour of very ripe pears, very ripe citrus as well, things like orange, and again, you've got a really nice texture. What you're left with, your mouth is felt satisfied, and yeah, it feels cleaned out. It doesn't feel like you're overwhelmed either with excess alcohol or excess sugar. Nice wine. It's funny, I've tasted quite a few wines from the Crossroads winery recently, and my favourites have been the Chardonnay and that one. I think that's pretty nice. Next one, we are in Alsace, where Pinot Gris made its name. Léon Beyer, 2008. And this has got more of that classic spice, rose petal, a bit of lychee, almost Gewürztraminer-like, but not quite as intense as that. We've got a Gewürztraminer coming up in a couple of wines. But this has got quite heady fruit. Again, it's you remember fruit salad chews, those chews that were like orange and on one side, pink on the other. Really a character like those. A bit of strawberry and a bit of that very ripe peach, nectarine. Yes, it's a lovely mix. It's got this ripeness, it's got this really fleshy core, but then it's got this precise finish, much as the Muscat did. You feel your mouth felt much cleaner and yeah, much more refreshed than Crossroads is good, but this one just really it's got that mix of weight and then precise, clean, tangy finish. I enjoy that. Funny, I like that in the order I tasted them, 3, 2, 1. So the Léon Beyer stands out for me, then the Crossroads, then the Gladstone. None of them taste like Pinot Grigio, which is for me is a plus, and for some people is probably a minus. Hey, horses for courses. Next one, we are in South America with their spicy grape, their Torrontés, which may or may not be the same as a number of grapes grown in Spain with the same name. And so this is from the Luján de Cuyo region of Mendoza, 2009, from Viñalba. And Viñalba is an enterprise that's been put together by a domain out there, Domaine Vistalba, which is owned by some French guys, and with a UK company, Buckinghamshire, and they do some terrific reds, good value reds, and they do this, Torrontés. The Torrontés, I mean, the place that people associate with Torrontés is in the bottom end of Salta province, called a place called Cafayate. But for me, I'd almost prefer them planting it somewhere a bit cooler and reducing yields. So let's see whether this satisfies. I find that people in Argentina, they say, oh yeah, Torrontés, we'll do this, we'll do that, and they overcrop it, and they get these massive bunches of grapes, huge yields, and you're left with a wine that's got this sort of, oh, nearly flavour. It's got this, it's got some spice, it's got some jellyish fruit, but it never quite has the heart that I want. Let's see whether this is any different. It's lime jelly, it's spice, ginger, orange peel. It's very, for me, it's almost a bit too perfumed for its own good. Yes, bags and bags of flavour there. Does feel a bit more concentrated and quite a lot of Torrontés, but I miss a bit of zip there. It feels really full, fleshy. I'd want to drink that pretty soon. I suppose the 2010 vintage is going to be around in the next few weeks, but always in two minds about Torrontés. I've never had one that I wanted to rush out and go, whoa. Maybe one day. Final wine, back on the Crossroads winery, and this is their Hawke's Bay Gewürztraminer 2007. And it's a bit more laid back. Sometimes Gewürztraminer can sort of really just like jump out of the glass and say, hug me, I'm pretty, and often it's not pretty, it's just something that's had a bit too much makeup on. Very florid face, yeah, lots of slap on, covering a multitude of sins. This one feels, yes, simple. I've used the word jelly-like. Again, I get that jelly-like character to the fruit here. It's not an amazingly fresh, vibrant wine, and I miss some of the mineral edges that I want in good Gewürztraminer. It's just off dry. I prefer to drink that than the Torrontés, because there's a gentleness about it. It's juicy, maybe pear, the classic light cheese, a bit of the rose petal too. Doesn't have too much of that really that tangy, spicy mineral edge that I like in good Gewürz. There's a wine that they do in New Zealand called Vinoptima, done by a guy called Nick Nobilo, who used to be part of Nobilo's, and some people are raving about it, and I can't quite capture what people see in it. Here, again, it's one of those when I think it's okay, I'd certainly have a glass and probably another glass if someone was serving it, but I wouldn't rush out to be buying it or to recommend it really. It's okay, but jelly. Hey, yeah, I think my favourites of the two have been the two Alsace wines, and but I thought the Crossroads Pinot Gris was good too. Hey, see you soon.